Some wealthy Trump donors are very upset about being outed as financial backers to the president. Now, the New York Times is reporting that several billionaires, one of them, Justin Herrick's, owner of the San Antonio based oil and gas company called Precision Pipe Rentals, ended up getting a few negative phone calls after it was revealed that he was a supporter of President Trump. So now this was done by Representative Joaquin Castro, who basically publicized donations of 44 individuals, wealthy individuals, and business owners. He basically tweeted out that they had given the max amount to Donald Trump. And he said, look, this is really sad that you have these people that are supporting what the president is doing, his divisive rhetoric, et cetera, right? So now these billionaires or very wealthy people, again, not happy. Here's what they told the Times. I've had people say, hey, we were going to use you for business, but we found out you're a racist. We hope that you burn in hell and that your business will go with you. That's some of the messages that he's received, right? And so he's like, that is so unfair that they now know who I give money to. Well, yeah, that's public information. We're supposed to be able to know who our corporations are giving money to, who are wealthy donors, who's backing these people, right? So, look, there's a lot of anger out there, and I can understand, right? And that anger, of course, is because of Donald Trump's rhetoric, but not just his rhetoric, but his support for pretty horrible people and for horrible things. For example, the administration that puts kids in cages at the border. So, and look, it's not just that stuff. It's also stuff that he's done to the economy. For example, giving rich people like himself giant tax cuts, which brings me to the next owner here, or next billionaire, Miami Dolphins owner Stephen Ross. Now, Stephen Ross says he's similarly been subject to boycott threats and harassing calls over his decision to host a high-dollar fundraiser for the president's re-election bid. You even had members of the Miami Dolphins saying, hey, wait a minute, why are you giving money to Donald Trump? And here you have wide receiver Kenny Stills, right? He earlier this week criticized Ross in a tweet for promoting himself as a champion of racial equality while also donating to President Trump's campaign. He says, look, you can't be both. Now, Stills talked to ABC 10, and he said this, quote, I'm just trying to, inform him, hey, the two things that don't align. I don't think it's that complicated. Well, he would be correct about that. I don't have any hard feelings towards him because it's his boss. There's no beef. It's just, hey, these two things don't align and maybe somebody else hasn't told you, but I'm letting you know. It's important to me that, the work that we're doing isn't just lip service. It's real. Now, bless your heart, Kenny Stills. But let me tell you what. He knows what he's doing. Come on. In my view, if you are still giving money to Donald Trump, the maximum amount donation, right? I would say that you still support everything that he does. Again, we have heard enough and seen enough to know exactly who Donald Trump really is. It's not like this guy's a surprise, right? So now I have one more here, and this is Bill White. Bill White is former president of the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum in New York. Now, that's really strange because the Space Museum, Air and Space and Sea, and you would think that this would be a person who has read their history or who knows a little bit about science, right? Apparently not, because he's given the maximum donation to Donald Trump. And he tells the Times that he doesn't care if people get upset. And if they do, he says, oh yeah? Well, it's just going to make me give more to President Trump. He says, quote, more people are putting out their chests, standing up straight, saying, I'm in. To hell with you publicizing my name. You know what? Yeah, I actually kind of respect that. Because at least he owns it and he says, well, Donald Trump's a racist. I like his racism. That's who I am. That's what I care about. Hey, I've always asked, every time I do these segments, I always say, you know what? if you're this kind of person, you should just own it. Credit to Bill White. He owns it. He owns it. He knows what Trump's about, and he says, this guy totally represents me. Gotta love that honesty, man. Then he must agree with putting the kids in cages and at least some of this or all of this divisive rhetoric, the white nationalism, all of that. Well, thank you, Bill White. We know who you're all about now. Now, I think it's a good thing that we know who these donors are and how much they give. You know why? Because a lot of these people or a lot of these corporations, we can vote with our wallet and decide not to do business with them. And that's good. And you know what that is? And the irony here is they'll cry and cry and cry about it, right? But that's literally what the free market's all about. Oh, your company gave all this money to a white nationalist? Okay, well, guess we're not going to do business with you anymore. Congratulations. At least now we know, who you are and what you believe in. And, ostensibly, we're going to see that you get hurt financially for believing in these terrible things. Again, that is the free market. And see, that's why these billionaires are so scared of being found out. Like, oh, no, I don't want anybody to know who I'm giving to. I don't want to know, I don't want people to know which politician that I bought. Oh, gee, why is that? Could it be that because these politicians, that you are funding politicians that do terrible, extremely unpopular things? Oh, gee, I wonder why you wouldn't want it to be known. But of course, it's because you personally profit off this. You either profit off this or you have some incredibly terrible views like Bill White. So now look, I also love how, by the way, since this is the free market at work, you have Republicans that are in complete meltdown over this. I shared some of the tweets the other day where you had political figures, Kevin McCarthy, you have Steve Scalise, that are just melting down and screaming, oh my God, they're doxing people. How can you let this happen? Well, for one, the New York Times, I believe it was either the New York Times or the Washington Post, released every single donor that ever donated, the name of every single donor that donated to the Clinton Foundation. So please spare me with that BS that it's, oh, I can't believe they're targeting conservatives. Oh my God, how dare you? Please. That is absolute nonsense. Nonsense. This isn't doxing. This is publicly available data. The FEC requires that this data, the names and employers of these donors and how much they've donated, be put into the public domain. This is not something that you can't just go and look up very, very easily. And that's exactly what Joaquin Castro had done. And they're having a conniption about it. Why? Because they'd rather operate in the dark. They'd rather operate in the dark because, look, they don't want their true motives or to be associated with the Republican Party or Donald Trump. Because those things are all toxic. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.